Okay, Coach, thanks for joining us. This
Yep.
is about our 30th time to meet together, and I've requested that be fixed, but clearly it hasn't.
It's all right.
It's about our 30th time together, and we always talk about the upcoming game. This time, could you just maybe take us through what it's like to be approaching a tournament, the SEC tournament?
It's always got a little different feel because everybody's under one roof. You're not, you don't feel like anybody's at home or you're on the road. There's always some pomp and circumstance that the kids enjoy and like to see their faces up at the hotels and places like that. So it is always kind of fun. I think everybody looks at tournaments differently too. You know, you have some people that are coming in there with a sense of desperation and others who have already established pretty much what they're going to be. So you always get some, and I think that's why you always see some upsets in the tournaments too. So I like them. I think they're, that thing that we do to kind of, you're all right. To kind of culminate the year, I think the kids always look forward to going in, picking out their SEC gifts, and there's just a little bit of bounce in their step as you turn the page from conference to a tournament format.
Of course, you jump right in with Georgia, a team you've already faced twice. Can you just maybe talk to us about what your game plan is for them?
Yeah, we got to come up with a few more stops each quarter. You know, I think our offense has been okay. We're either going to have to really make a lot more shots, but I think against them defensively, they're a team that we've really struggled to defend in the paint. We've tried a couple of different things, so we'll try a third thing. I am not going to try the same thing over and over and expect a different result. We will try some different things, but it's a hard matchup for us because they have really, really athletic guards that can keep you out of the paint, and if you do happen to get by them, they've got the best shot blocker in Georgia history and one of the best in the game to do it. So it's, and I'm not that whole it's hard to beat somebody 3 times in a year guy. It's not if you're better than them. So we'll have to play better, but we're going to really focus on, it feels funny for me to say out loud, but we'll really focus defensively the next 2 days trying to come up with a couple more stops each quarter.
Can you talk about your approach specifically? You talked about kind of in general your approach going into the SEC tournament with what you're looking for going into postseason.
Yeah, I thought about this on the drive in. I was talking to Coach Schaefer about it. I made a real tactical error about 3 weeks ago, and I took teams this time of the year. Some teams have desperation. I took that away from our team a little bit when we talked about being postseason eligible for the NIT. And I think that could have been the difference in some of these one-point games. And I take full blame for all that because I think at this time of the year, teams need a little desperation. And we haven't had that for a while. We've had a sense of, okay, we've been good, maybe not great. What's it going to take to be great? Maybe that comes in the offseason. So I'm going to try to instill a little bit of chip on our shoulder with some various things the next couple of days. And I do think the opportunity is there. You're on the opposite side of Mississippi State, who we didn't play very well against. We're the opposite side of LSU, who we didn't play very good against. You look down the rest of that roster, the people that are on our side, we were in every single one of those games. So we'll try to build a little chip, try to give them some of that sense of desperation back. And, I don't think we're putting the uniforms up after the next loss. I really don't. Most of the kids in the locker room have had that happen to them at the SEC tournament. But we'll do a couple things the next couple days. We are going down a day early. We're going to leave today, get on down there and get settled in and enjoy it. I think that's an important part of the student-athlete experience as well, not just to get in there and get out. But we'll try to instill a little desperation in them.
What did you feel like was lacking? Is there something specific that you can put your finger on, or is it one of those?
A little bit of killer instinct, that coming up with that one loose ball. And you can go back to a lot of, the Kentucky game is the one that's going to keep coming back and back to me because I think Kentucky's a very, very good team. I think they can go deep in the tournament. They have a lot of great players, and we were within 1.8 seconds of coming up with a big win. But then you go back and even in a microcosm, you look at A&M the other day, we get down, we come back like we have traditionally done. There's a shot clock. We force a shot clock violation, and the buzzer goes off, and we all stop, and they rebound and stick it back in. So it all goes back to that desperation. I just think that sense of urgency, it's like, okay, we still get to play again. So I think I took that from them, and I hate that I did that. It wasn't intentional. but it was just a tactical mistake on my part, I think, because I do think we've not had that sense of desperation for a loose ball at the end of the third quarter that could have been the difference in the Kentucky game, or could have been the difference in some of these, 1 or 2 point games. I look down here, I was looking at, that's why I had Jerry bring last year's stats. I look at, and we all are, about how we've improved. I mean, you have to be that way as a coach, otherwise you drive yourself crazy. And I look at the scores from last year. A&M beat us 104-60. Y'all remember that? It was not much fun. And I think South Carolina beat us 90 again, Jerry. I can't. I'm getting great pictures of your dog, but yeah. Well, that's not the one. The one I'm talking about was South Carolina down there beat us like 95-2, whatever it was. It felt like 1,000-0. And that's a game that we're in till the end. All of those things. What was it? Sorry, I'll give you all this number so you don't have to go up. 90-42. You're right. So I look at that and I see the improvement, we can't celebrate a win, and that's the rebuilding year. That's the hardest part about year 2, is the invisible results. The records flipped around. I think we went into the tournament last year 13-17 or something like that, because we finished 13-18, didn't we? So 17-30, we flipped the record around. We've closed the gap on very, very talented teams. We're not playing in the play-in game. So, there's always a year. At Washington, it was the year that we went to the NIT or to the NCAA tournament first round, and we were so satisfied, and we got our tails kicked because we were already satisfied. And I should have learned from that this year, but I didn't, and I took that desperation away from them. We'll get it back.
Yes.
Yeah.
Coach, it's been a long season, a tough season. How are your players looking, physically, mentally?
I think we've got the normal bumps and bruises physically. We've probably, knock on wood, been more, again, and this goes back to our strength and conditioning staff, it goes back to our athletic training staff, and it goes back to how we practice. We haven't had significant, IT missing 3 or 4 games was, what did she miss, 7? I think she missed 6 or 7 games. Last year we didn't miss practices, and we missed very few of those again today. So I think they're good mentally. I think they're good physically. I do think we're continuing to play really good basketball. The schedule was just loaded at the back end of it. So I think there is a sense of excitement going into the postseason. It's been a while since some of these kids have played beyond into spring break. We're having to have that conversation. Coach, we get spring break. It's a good thing when you have to not make spring break plans. And that's hopefully something that now we'll learn, that you don't make plans to go skiing when the NCAA tournament could potentially be going on, or the NIT. So that's another good step for us. I certainly wish we could have made the NCAA tournament. And not saying that we can't. We've got to win the SEC tournament. So let's say we don't and we go to the NIT. If we would have skipped a step and done that in year 2, it would have been absolutely amazing, and whatever other adjective you want to put with it. But the progress that they made is rare. Not a lot of teams do that in year 2, and I think it's a credit to the kids that stayed and the kids that came in.
Chelsea was named second team SEC. What kind of regular season has she had in your eyes?
A first team, all SEC season. I understand how people vote. Everybody's got a different opinion. I've followed the SEC voting for 20 years now. They value the number of games your team wins. It's more of a team award. I haven't seen the full thing. Jerry sent it to me, and it wasn't supposed to be released till 11, so I didn't look at it because I didn't want to know. But I was fully prepared that even though I think she had an all-SEC first-team year, probably wouldn't be recognized as that. Did Mal make it? I was also worried we'd split votes. We didn't win enough games to probably – this is a really hard league to make an all-SEC team because we only take 8 on the first team with 14 teams. If you look at the other leagues, sometimes it's split up differently. It's a really hard league. Plus, particularly this year, you had a lot of kids that were seniors. And, I think we could have named 4 of them before we ever played a game. You know, as long as they didn't get hurt, you could have named 4 or 5, maybe 6. I haven't seen the list. But I know when I sat down to vote on it, it was incredibly hard. So I can see how that would be tough. But I think both of those kids had seasons to be recognized. I also think both of those kids probably don't care as much as me and you do about it, because they care about what our fans think, their teammates think, their coaches think, our fans. I can guarantee you when our fans see it, they'll be shocked. I mean, I've had people text me thinking that, you know, votes for players of the year and stuff. So, but I understand it. I know it doesn't drive her. She wants to win, and she'll understand that. But as a sophomore, to be recognized in this league amongst the people that I'm sure are on the list, it's a huge accomplishment.